Shalom, fam. This is Or Eber with the Living Word Initiative, author, investor, and consultant. And I'm coming to you with a video directed toward the teenagers today. So, as I was typically, I do a lot of my thinking in the shower. I know I talked to you all before about default mode network. The default mode network part of your brain is the part of your brain that activates and starts to work and process thoughts, process ideas, create new thoughts, create new ideas when you are in a state where you're not cognitively associated with something. So when you're not actively thinking, when you're not actively reading, when you're not actively involved on your cell phone, watching television, playing a sport, whatever, when you're just not allowing your brain to be involved, that's when your brain actually starts working. So it's called the default mode network. I love to allow my default mode network to start working when I'm in the shower. So I was taking a shower and, you know, just reflecting back on certain things in life and whatnot. And the message that I have today, it's for our teenagers, it's for our youth. So if you know a teenager, you have a youth, share this message with them. This message may not apply to all of them, but it's going to apply to somebody. And even if it only touches one person, that that's one life that is gonna be changed and not have to deal with a lot of things that a lot of us older adults have to deal with. My piece of advice that I have for the youth, especially those that are preteens, teenagers, um, going into adulthood, so between 12 to 18, especially those that are in middle school, high school. If you date, if you date, do not be that child that hides who they are dating from your parents. Now I know a lot of y'all are gonna be like, my parents they don't know me, or they're gonna tell me no, da 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 da. Fine and dandy. Some parents may get it wrong. I'm not here to say everyone is 100% accurate and everyone is 100% correct. We have a lot of parents who push a lot of ideas that are either outdated or they just may not work with you. However, that's not everybody. That's the outlier. I'm talking about the ones who they know their parents, they can talk to their parents, they can be open with things with their parents. Their parents are very understanding. Their parents will help them walk through situations as opposed to, you know, have an old idea of thinking. And even if your parents have an old idea of thinking, they know more than you do. They've been through life. That whole reason why I'm making this video. But I want to let you know, don't allow your parents not to know about your relationships. Your parents are going to navigate you through things that you have not been prepared for or that you don't know about. And I want to tell you why this is important because it is inevitable. Very few people find the love of their life at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, shoot, even up into their 30s. Very few people do. But when you're younger, you're going to go through some things and you're not, because you don't know it, you're not going to know how to either look out for it, deal with it, or process the outcome from it. So what happens is because you don't know or you don't have the proper information, you end up misassessing the situation. And then what happens is you carry that misassessment into life later on. And it causes you to mess up things in the future because you built a reality based off of your misinterpretation of something. So, for instance, a lot of older generations and a lot of people that be able to tell you, especially those that are in their 20s, 30s, early 40s, dating is very weird. Dating is hard. Finding a spouse is nerve-wracking, challenging. A lot of us deal with trust issues. Not all of us. A lot of us deal with a lot of trust issues. A lot of that stemmed from most of us had parents who were older, so they were from another generation. They did the dating thing, they did, just the views of life a lot differently. They were raised a lot differently than how the world was for us growing up. So those ideas that they were trying to implant into us, which we should have listened to some of them, most of them actually, to be honest with you, those ideas we felt like didn't apply for us. So we did a lot of things and we hit a lot of situations. Then we ended up in situations, didn't know how to handle them, and built a false reality and built a false world based off of misinterpretations of our emotions and our feelings. So then we carried that into our adulthood, and now so many of us are complaining about how dating is so terrible and you can't trust anybody and everybody just this and that. It's because we were all jacked up in the head. And we created a world or created a narrative based off of misunderstandings of our feelings as children, thinking we knew it all, thinking we had it all figured out, thinking because we understood how to work a computer and program a VCR. I'm, in my early 30s, so I was still a kid when VCRs was around. Because I was 3 years old programming VCRs for grandma, I felt like I knew more than grandma did. When that didn't mean a hill of beans. That had nothing to do with anything. So we got advice and we either didn't listen to it or we didn't even get advice because we thought they didn't know what they were talking about or they were going to hold us back from something. They were protecting us from ourselves. They would have been protecting us from ourselves. We should have listened. But for the younger generation, listen to me. Go to your parents. Because you don't want a relationship that is basically meaningless at the age of 13 or 14 to mess up a marriage that you're going to have when you're 30. To mess up a serious relationship that you're going to have when you're 25. To stop you from even pursuing love when you're 23. You don't want that. You don't want to put your spouse in your 20s, 30s, and 40s through something because something that some knucklehead teenage boy or some fast teenage girl did to you when you was 13, 14, 16. Y'all weren't even living in the real world at that time. You didn't have to wake up and work. Most of y'all, I won't say all of y'all, most of y'all didn't even have to wake up and worry about if the lights was going to be on or where you were going to eat or what you were going to eat that day. So you definitely weren't living in the real world. So you shouldn't let non-real world problems affect your real world. Now, if you're someone who is struggling with those emotions, you need to go seek help. You need to. Don't get into another relationship until you seek help. Because all you're going to do is ruin your life and the life of others, even if you have good intentions. Your good intentions can turn into bad results because you're not adequately equipped for the situation. Now, like I said, this message doesn't apply to everyone, but there is someone out there who needs to hear it. Also, if you're in a situation, get help. There's a difference between you talking to your friend and you seeking professional help. Unless your friend is a professional psychologist, you need help. Because just talking out your problems doesn't give you the tools to be able to make the change. You can talk the problem out all day, every day. For instance, if you play sports, let's say you play basketball, I can go to the park and I can shoot 1,000 shots a day. But if a proper shooting mechanic is my elbow in, guide hand on the ball, when I release with my pointer finger. If that's the proper way to shoot, and I go to the park and shoot 1,000 shots with my arm out, my guard arm on top, my guard hand on top of the ball, and I'm releasing like this, and my feet are pointed sideways, yeah, cool, I'm shooting 1,000 shots a day, but I'm doing it wrong. And yeah, some of those shots may go in, but more shots will go in if I were to seek a coach who could tell me, get my arm in, get my feet pointed toward my target, which is the basket, get my hand as the guide hand. When I shoot, I go up, I release, and the last finger that touches the ball should be my pointer finger pointed at the basket. Then I will become an efficient, maybe even an elite shooter. But if I go shoot and I got somebody out there who just retrieving the balls, they just out there, my homeboy go out there with me, and they just passing me all my rebounds. They, oh yeah, man, bro, I appreciate you. You rebounding all 1,000 of my shots for me. Cool, but he not fixing your shooting on. So he not doing you no justice. Yeah, you ain't got to chase after the ball, but you still ain't making no shots. So yeah, you ain't got to talk to yourself, but you still not getting the tools that you need to be able to adequately navigate through a relationship. Get help. And for you teenagers who this video was originally about, talk to your parents. Stop hiding relationships. Make sure they know who you're dating. They may be able to see some stuff that you're not gonna see because you're blind. You're gonna tell them some stuff and they're gonna be like, baby, that's unacceptable. No, he shouldn't have, whatever. Also, teenagers, quit trying to have adult relationships as a teenager. Quit trying to have adult relationships as a teenager. That dude that you dating, he 14. More than likely, he's getting his money from his parents. More than likely, he's on an allowance. So, no, maybe he can't take you out to Ruth Chris like a man who's 30. Stay off of social media. Don't stay off of social media. Quit basing your life off of adults on social media. Young man, know that girl is not supposed to be giving you her specialness that's supposed to be saved. Yes, you actually have to, spend time, put in effort. No, she ain't just supposed to be chasing you around. No, he ain't just supposed to be chasing you around. But have teenage relationships. Like, return to teenage relationships. Quit trying to be adults without the responsibility of adults. Quit trying to put the pressures of adulthood on somebody. And quit playing each other. Like, if you don't have good intentions for someone, don't string them along. Don't lead them on. Don't play emotion. Don't play with their emotions. Don't use them. Because one thing is, every piece of energy, law of attraction, law of polarity, law of resonance, every piece of energy you send out will come back to you. And I know in scripture it says, I know a lot of times people like to use this in regards to money. Cup runneth over, pressed down, shaken together, and runneth over. No, that's everything in life. It's not just money. It's not just when you pay tithe or when you give money. No, that's everything in life. Whatever energy you put out into the world will come back to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over. So I just want to leave y'all with that piece of advice. You all enjoy your day. And until then, I say shalom.